Good morning, everybody. Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. It is December 4th, 2017, and I put together a little study here for your own continued study and encouragement. And I'm just going to give you the basics on three different uses of a door, three different scenarios of rapture, and three confirmations of Hanukkah. We have three different passages that talk about a door, a rapture, and Hanukkah. In Revelation 4, 1 through 5, we see that John received a vision of a door in heaven. He saw this door open to heaven, and he had a call to come up here. Come up here, and so there's a door, and there's a rapture scenario. And in verse 5, we see the reference to the 7-candle lampstand, and the only feast that is directly related to the menorah is the Feast of Hanukkah. So we have our Hanukkah connection in Revelation chapter 4, verses 1 through 5. We have a door. We have come up here, which is our rapture call, our rapture scenario, and we have a reference to the menorah. Then we have in the story of the 10 virgins, Matthew 25, 1 through 13, we have another reference to a door. When the bridegroom came, the wise virgins entered, and the door was shut. The door was shut. And this is entrance to the wedding. A few days ago, I had not even considered this, but in the scene of the Red Wedding from the Game of Thrones, the one that Obama referred to, it's interesting that it's a red wedding, and it starts out, the red wedding begins with the doors shutting. And in Matthew 25, that's exactly what we see. We see the doors shutting. We have the wise virgins inside and the foolish virgins outside. So when that door shuts, there is going to be a white wedding on the inside and a red wedding on the outside. Matthew 25, 1 through 13 talks about the door. There's entrance to the wedding, which is the rapture scenario. And the whole story is around the oil. The oil. That's the Hanukkah story. The story of Hanukkah is the story of the oil. So again, we have another passage that talks about the door, a rapture scenario, and Hanukkah. Then we have in John chapter 10. Now this is no illusion. This is no imagination or my own interpretation. This is clearly written in the book of John in chapter 10. The whole story in John chapter 10 is about Jesus being the door of the sheep. And it says exactly when Jesus was giving this teaching. He gave this teaching on the Feast of Dedication, Feast of Hanukkah, verse 22. So we have the door. Again, there's a door that has to do with Hanukkah. And this passage shows that Jesus is the door of the sheep, and he will lead his people. He will lead his sheep into the sheepfold, and he will call them out. He will call them out. And then it talks about the Feast of Dedication. Now, confirmation of rapture in John chapter 10. Look at this. Verses 12 and 28. The number 726, HARPAZO. Verses 12, this talks about the wolf. The wolf catching the sheep. The wolf will catch the sheep. And then in verse 28, it talks about no man will pluck my sheep out of my hands. Both of these words in verses 12 and verses 28 is the word harpazo. And so we have here in John chapter 10 the use of the word rapture, to be caught up, harpazo, in John chapter 10. And here we have the same scenario of the two raptures. We have the two being caught up. We have the one is being caught up. It's the wolf catching the sheep, and it's God protecting the sheep, not letting anybody pluck out of his hand. And so we have two scenarios of rapture. One is the wolf that is going to catch up the sheep that are left behind, and it's God protecting his own sheep, not allowing anyone to pluck out of his hand. And this is the same type of scenario that we have with the red wedding. When that door is shut, we have those that are taken into the white wedding and those that are left behind and will be plucked up by the wolf. Okay, so John chapter 10. So we have here very interesting details from the last day of Hanukkah. Since we're talking about the number 3, there's 3 doors and 3 rapture scenarios and 3 references to Hanukkah. From the last day of Hanukkah, we have connections to the number 3 4 times. 3 days from the red dragon sign of Revelation 12, 3 and 4 that appears on December 17th. It's a 3-day connection to the last day of Hanukkah from the sign of the red dragon on December 17th. It's 33 days from the beginning of the Revelation 12 sign, the 1-year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign that began on 11/17/16. 1 year was marked by 11/17/17, and that's 400 total days from the beginning of the Revelation 12 sign to the last day of Hanukkah. 400, we have talked about, is a prophetic number, and it's connected to a day for a year. A day for a year. And then we have, from the last day of Hanukkah, 333 days from January 21st, 2017, 333 Trump days in office. Trump's 333rd day in office is the last day of Hanukkah. And if that wasn't enough, we have the 3,333 days from the Obama election on November 4th, 2008. So we have connections to the number 3, the last day of Hanukkah. 3 passages of Scripture that mention 3 doors, 3 references to Hanukkah, and 3 scenes of rapture, and we have connections to 333, 333, and 3,333 days. I pray you guys are blessed. Have a great day.